Good afternoon, participants, and good afternoon, ma'am. Uh, Today, we are having Dr. Shefali with us for third session of the day. Let me introduce, give me the brief discussion about Shefali, ma'am. Dr. Shefali Nandan completed her PhD from Hari Singh Gaur University, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. She did MBA with a specialization in HR and MSc Chemistry from University of Lucknow. She has qualified UGC NET for lecturership. Her teaching area include talent and competency management, international HRM, industrial relation, and labor laws, as well as organizational behavior. She has been a resource person in various training programs for executives and academicians. She has authored one book and over 50 international and national publications. She is a reviewer for several national as well as international journals. She has participated and presented in various. She has participated and presented in various national as well as international conferences and seminars. Currently, she is actively involved in organizing various academic, extracurricular, and co-curricular activities. She has been sub-editors of peer-reviewed journal Conference published by Department of Business Management, Dr. H.S. Gaur University, Sagar. She is a resource person for training programs for executive, government officers, academicians at various organizations like Police Academy, Sagar. Her current research interests include talent development, employer branding, women entrepreneurship, employee engagement, and change adoption. And I'm sure participants that you are going to have a very entertaining, enlightening session with Dr. Shefali, ma'am. Over to Dr. Shefali.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shalini. It's great to connect with you and all the enthusiastic participants here. So I'll just begin my presentation. I'll share my screen. So the topic for the day is getting focused and how you work. So they say, ignore the noise and focus on your work. Naturally, when you're trying to concentrate on something, you're trying to focus on your work, if there is noise around, you are not able to concentrate and focus on your work. Now, that is physical noise. But apart from that, there is so much noise that is there in our mind, in our thoughts. Thoughts create noise. And many a time, that also prevents you from focusing on your work. So we'll talk about all those kinds of noises and we'll see how to focus. So what is required to build focus? Changing one's attitudes and changing one's habits. These are the two main requirements for learning to build focus. We might be focusing, we are able to focus, but then sometimes we go through certain phases in life where we lose focus on work. And we are kind of disillusioned. What to do? How to rebuild my focus? So at that point of time, we need to understand that we need to change our attitudes and we might be required to change certain habits to build the focus. Aristotle says, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Yes, excellence is a habit. So let us see, when we talk of habits, what goes before habit formation and what goes after habit formation. And many of you must have read these lines earlier also. We will kind of revise these lines. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Whenever you are speaking something, first it comes into your mind and then they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. So what you're speaking, ultimately, you end up doing that. Watch your actions. they become habits. So what you repeatedly do becomes your habits. Then they say, watch your habits. They become character. You are doing same thing over and over again over a period of time. Gradually, it tends to become one's character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. So everything began from thoughts. And when we say attitude, attitude is there in the thoughts. Thoughts make attitude. And gradually that leads to habit formation, and that leads to destiny formation. So habits and attitudes determine work outcome. Thus, our success is determined by our habits and our attitudes. Now, what are these habits? Habits are deeply rooted and subconscious, isn't it? When we are habitually doing something, we don't even have to think about it. Our mind thinks that way, what we have been doing in the past, what is our habit, and our body also mechanically acts according to the habit. Some people say, I have the habit of reading newspaper in the morning. Some people say, I have the habit of jogging in the morning. Some say, I have the habit of having a cup of tea in the morning. Unless I have a cup of tea, I'm not able to work. My head begins to ache. So habits are deeply rooted. And what you are habitually doing, if you don't do it, you feel like you're missing something. So now here, there is one question from you. Just name one habit of yours that you think helps you achieve effectiveness at work. Just think for a moment. And can you name that one habit of yours if you would like to share with us?
Ma'am, can I share?
Yeah, sure.
I think disciplined and no procrastination.
Okay, that's wonderful. Two habits, discipline and no procrastination. That's wonderful. Anyone else who would like to share?
Ma'am, getting up early in the morning.
Yeah, getting up early in the morning. Yeah,
Going to
wonderful.
bed early in the night.
Yes, early to bed. Yeah, as they say, early to bed, early to rise. That's amazing. Anyone else?
Reading newspaper every day in the morning.
Doing
Could you
yoga
please
in the
repeat?
morning.
Doing yoga in the morning. Wonderful. So these are the habits of yours that help you achieve effectiveness at work. Okay, now we come to one habit that you think hampers your effectiveness at work. Can you think of that?
Can I try, ma'am?
Sure, sure.
I think always trying to be a perfectionist.
All right. Okay, sometimes even that might be an obstacle, an obstruction. Okay. Trying for perfection all the time. So you are a perfectionist. I think. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Every day.
It was not clear. Could you please repeat?
Watching TV in the evening.
Watching TV in the evening. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that kind of wastes your time. Is that?
Yes.
Okay, you think a lot. All right. So we all have certain habits that help us achieve effectiveness and work. And we have certain habits that hamper our effectiveness at work. So we need to work on those habits that hamper our effectiveness, and we need to strengthen those habits and maybe inculcate new habits that help us achieve effectiveness at work. And effectiveness at work is the result of focus. We get effectiveness only if we are focused at work. So let us see how are habits formed. What does it take to form a habit? Now, you can see here 3 circles. They are overlapping. And all these 3 things, knowledge, skill, and desire, are required to form a habit. If it is a habit, some action is required there. You are required to do something. So, 1, knowledge. What to do and why. You begin doing something because you think it's going to help you in one way or the other. What to do. And then why to do it. When you have the knowledge of these things, then you start doing something. So you want to do something, but then you also got to have skill for it. Like one of you said, yoga. Your habit is to do yoga. Incidentally, I'm also in the habit of doing yoga. So, okay, I want to do yoga. I have this knowledge that yoga is good for wellness. But skill is required. How to do it? I need to learn that. And then even just skill is not enough. We got to have desire to do it. Do I want to do it? I might be having knowledge of something. I might be having skill of something. But then do I really want to do it? So desire is also required for habit formation. And when you have all the 3, then habit is formed.
Can I say something here?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I also feel rehearsal is very important. For any behavior to become a habit over and above knowledge, skill, and desire, don't we need to keep repeating it and rehearse it for it to become a desirable?
Definitely, definitely. What I said, that this is the basic requirement for habit formation. And when you repeatedly do it, you know that it is good, you have the skill, you have the desire, you repeatedly do it, and it becomes a habit. Definitely. Repetition is very important. Otherwise, it's not a habit if you do it just once or twice. So we talked about changing habits and changing attitudes. So what are attitudes? Attitudes are learned, first of all. These are something that, so these are learned predispositions to respond in a consistently favorable and unfavorable manner with respect to a specific person, object, or situations. You form attitude for a person, you like or dislike somebody, or you choose to be indifferent to somebody. That's an attitude towards some object, towards situations. So you learn to behave in a particular manner consistently, favorable or unfavorable manner. So that forms your attitude. You learn to behave that way towards person, object, or situation. Your attitudes may change over a period of time towards some person, towards some object, and towards the situations. Maybe you did not like somebody, but now you have developed a strong liking for the person. Or maybe you liked somebody, you used to like somebody, but now you dislike them. Attitude. You learn. And this learning comes from experiences. So the crux is, a positive attitude gives you power over your circumstances instead of your circumstances having power over you. That is the importance of having a positive attitude, whether towards a person, towards object, or towards a situation. So, habits and attitudes. Now we'll talk about some of those attitudes and habits that will help us build focus. Self-awareness, knowing oneself. You know, we think, okay, what's there to know about ourselves? We know ourselves so well, but that is what we hardly do. We know about everyone else around. You know, when I do some activities in my class, when I'm teaching my students, my MBA students, so I ask them, write 5 strengths of yours and 5 weaknesses of yours. And believe me, after writing 1 or 2 or 3 strengths and weaknesses, they are not able to think of more. So that is the problem. We don't know ourselves. Self-awareness is very important to be able to build focus on something, focus on our work. So self-awareness is a unique human capability. And this is the reason why we can change our attitudes and habits. We analyze, we do introspection, and then we realize that, okay, I need to change my attitude. There is some problem with me. I need to change my habits if I am to succeed in life, if I am to achieve something. And how is that possible? Only through self-awareness. We respond to stimuli. Stimulus, it could be anything, you know. It could be temperature outside. It could be somebody's words. It could be anything that we see, anything that we can experience through our senses, 5 senses, is stimulus. And we respond to the stimulus. We respond in our own way. And that is also true that different people respond to same stimulus in different way. So if it's raining heavily, for some people, it is a problem. Oh, it's so raining so heavily. What I'm supposed to do? How will I go out? And it's all slush everywhere, and that's really a problem. And some people would enjoy it. Okay, so what if there is slush? So what? I have my umbrella, I have my raincoat, I can go out and I'll enjoy the weather. Same stimulus, different responses. So it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters. Not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters. So stimulus, response. What is happening to us is a stimulus, how we are responding to it. That is our reaction. So between the stimulus and response, we have freedom to choose. We have freedom to choose our response. And from where does this freedom come? This freedom comes from self-awareness. If we are aware of ourselves, okay, maybe I get angry too soon. Somebody said something. Now, if I have self-awareness, I will know that I get angry too soon, and that is not helping me. So now, when somebody says something which I don't like, I need to control myself. I need to pause before I respond. That is self-awareness. So I have not reacted immediately. I have chosen my response. Then this freedom comes from imagination. You can imagine the consequences of your response. And accordingly, choose your response. Your conscience. What does your conscience say? Should you be reacting this way? Whatever it is, whatever the stimulus is, we can always choose our response. And then your independent will. What is going on in your mind? There are so many thoughts in your mind. You have the freedom to choose. That is your independent will to choose your response. So nobody is forcing you to respond in a particular way. Most of the times, we have the freedom to choose our response. So when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That is the response. Life is giving you lemons, sour lemons. That is the stimulus. What is the response? I'm not crying, I'm not lamenting that I got lemons. Okay, I'll make a lemonade out of it. And that is attitude also, a positive attitude. Now here, I would like, when I gave this quote, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Many of you must have read this book, The Last Lecture. It is by Professor Randy Pausch of Carnegie Mellon University. This is the professor sitting. That's his beautiful family. When this professor was 46 years old, in the year 2006, he suddenly came to know that he has cancer, and that too in the last stage. He had 3 small children, his wife, and he realized he does not have much time. All of a sudden, this problem has come. He could see the end of his life in front of him. And in their university, they had this practice of giving one last lecture before a person retires. So he started preparing for that lecture. And you can see a link at the bottom. This lecture is available on YouTube. You can just type the words Randy Pausch, the last lecture, and you will find it on YouTube. And it's worth listening. I have read this book, and it's a beautiful book. You can read the book, or you can also listen to the lecture. So now, what I want to tell you here is this last lecture that he delivered there, which he prepared very diligently. He said in the end that this last lecture is actually not meant for you people sitting here in front of me. I realized that my children are very small, and I would have told them so many things over a period of time as they would be growing up had I been there. But now I know that I wouldn't be there. And I am lucky that I know that I will be dying within a year or two. So I have the time to prepare for my death, which many people don't get the chance for. That's the attitude. Just see the positive attitude. He says, I'm lucky. People die suddenly out of accident, sudden heart attacks. They don't have the time to prepare for the death. But I have the time. I know what's going to come. So in this lecture I have not written for you guys sitting in front of me. In this lecture, whatever I have spoken, it is for my children, my small children. These are the values, these are the things that I wanted to convey to them. And now this lecture would be converted to a book, and this book will forever be there with my children, and they can read it all through their lives and will get to know what their father wanted to tell them. So when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. He got focused. What am I supposed to do now? What should I be doing now? And this is what he did. Created a wonderful book. So don't let yourself to be the victim of situations. Next habit, be proactive. So being proactive means taking responsibility of your life. People who are proactive, they are prepared well in advance for what is coming. It involves taking initiative and responsibility to make things happen. And when we empower environmental factors to affect us, we become reactive. When you are proactive, you are controlling those factors around you. And when you empower environmental factors to control you, you become reactive. Proactive people take charge of the situation and deal with the situation with preparedness. They are, they anticipate what situations are coming, which they would be facing. So why not prepare in advance? At least something. We cannot foresee the future, but we can very well anticipate what can be expected in future and prepare ourselves for it. So reactive people are affected by their physical environment. Oh, it's very hot. Oh, it's so cold. Oh, it's raining so heavily. Their social environment, people around them. If someone says something, they get affected immediately. And psychological stimuli, psychological factors. And they build their lives around external stimuli. They are giving power to those outside factors, whether it's people, whether it's the situation, to control their behavior. So you can very well predict such people. How are they going to behave? How are they going to respond? But proactive people choose their response. If you go back to stimulus and response, if you are choosing your response, you are proactive. They choose their response. I could be facing that situation, or this person if says something to me and if I react in this way, then things might go wrong. So what should I speak? They prepare in advance. Or if you're going to attend a meeting, you can well anticipate, because you have the agenda of the meeting, what things can come up. So how should you be responding? You should be prepared in advance, at least to some extent. So what are the characteristics of proactive people? Their behavior is the product of decision based on values. We all have our value system. So choosing the behavior based on your values, whatever your values are. They are personal leaders. They lead themselves. They prepare themselves for the situations, seen, unforeseen situations. They take initiative and they are solutions to the problems. They come with solutions. And so they are successfully able to handle problems. So being solution to the problem is a very good characteristic. As you would all know, you all are working somewhere. Most of the people come with problems. And there are very few people who come with the solutions to those problems. We all can see the problems. If it comes to listing the problems, we can fill, registers and registers, problems, all. But where is the solution? People want solution, and people, those who are able to bring solution, are the ones who are valued in their organizations. And what are the characteristics of reactive people? Just the reverse. Their behavior is the product of their condition based on feelings. So they behave, they act on the feelings and emotions. They are usually unhappy people who feel victimized and immobilized, and who focus on the weaknesses of other people. And they are always blaming other people and circumstances for their situations. And even maybe the luck, the stars. So it's always something that is outside that is responsible for their stagnant situation. They never hold themselves to be responsible. That is the characteristic of reactive people. And proactive people, because they take charge of the situation, they are prepared well in advance. So they have an internal locus of control. They take the responsibility of coming out of a difficult situation themselves. So left side, it's a reactive language, and on the right side of the table, it's proactive language. So you can just read it. Reactive language. There's nothing I can do. And they say, let's look at our alternatives. That's just the way I am, and I cannot change. Proactive language, I can choose from different approaches. I can always choose. Reactive language, he makes me so mad. Proactive would say, I control my feelings. Nobody can make me feel mad or make me feel inferior. No, I don't give that power to anyone. I control my own feelings. Reactive language, they won't allow that. So you would also know such people who don't speak up in the meetings, who never come up with something. Why? Because I know that those people won't allow me to do that. And proactive, oh, I'll create an effective presentation and then let's see what happens. Let me do what I can. Not speaking is not the solution. And reactive language says that, what's the point saying anything? I know they won't allow. Reactive, I have to do it. Means somebody is forcing me to do that. Proactive, I will choose an appropriate response. It's not that I have to do it. I will choose. I can't, I choose. I must do it because somebody is forcing me. Proactive says, I prefer to do it. Again, just see the difference. If only it were like this, then I could have succeeded. Proactive says, I will, no matter what. So that was about being proactive. Now we come to the next habit, taking initiative. So recognizing responsibility to make things happen is initiative. So with initiative, you make things happen. All the new things that are happening around us, there is somebody who took initiative. And there is a very wide gap between the effectiveness in the work of those who take initiative and those who don't. There are many people who just keep waiting for others to start and then they join the bandwagon. So the amount of success that these two type of people get is also different. It takes initiative to achieve anything fruitful in life. Whether it is in personal life or it is on the work front, you always have to take initiative to achieve something. And you are a part of this FDP because of your initiative. You have your own reasons for joining this FDP and you took that initiative. You looked for some good FDPs, then you came across this, somebody told you about it, and you decided to join it. It's because of your initiative. So people who believe in taking initiative, they prepare themselves for tough situations by asking certain questions. What's going to happen to me? How are we going to respond? And on the basis of this, they prepare themselves. So you can just see this is also being proactive. So let us look at this COVID situation. The way this COVID pandemic has affected people in so many ways, businesses have also got affected. So I conducted one study on women entrepreneurs, that how have they reacted, how has their business got affected due to COVID pandemic. And it was really heartening to see that many of the women bogged down by this pandemic. They did not let this pandemic hit their spirits. They saw it as an opportunity to explore new ways of doing business, to develop new business models. And they said that earlier we had never thought of taking our business online, and now we are doing it. We are exploring new ways of production, delivering products, reaching out to our customers, which we would have never done it had it not been pandemic. So they faced this challenge and they took the initiative of adopting new business model. The situation was very tough, but then they successfully salvaged their business out of this tough situation. And those who could not do, their businesses closed down or got affected very severely. So it always takes initiative to do something new. Now, just you identify one or two situations where you took initiative to tackle a difficult situation. Can you think of such situations? Would anyone like to share such a situation where because of your initiative, situation could be handled?
Can I share, ma'am?
Yes, please.
So, ma'am, it was not a negative situation, but I felt that, these special schools which are there in Bombay, in Mumbai, they had completely closed down during COVID. I'm talking about children where schools where children are on wheelchairs, they are physically challenged. And they had closed down because, the Zoom and the LMS platforms were not familiar to them. So I decided that, one way to reach out to these children, because in a year and a half, if they are at home, it definitely increases their frustration levels, etc., with more psychological impacts. So what we did was, with a couple of students, we conducted certain Zoom classes, first train the teachers how to do short Zoom classes. And we did a series of 15 to 18 of these classes of just fun, concepts with fun and music, just to keep the children more involved and entertainment, especially in the afternoon. And we found that it was a great initiative, I feel, because the parents really appreciated it. The children kind of lightened and looked forward to something being there for that day. My students learned a lot, because this is inclusive education and giving back to society. And I think it was a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. So that's a commendable initiative. That was a wonderful initiative that you took for the benefit of those children and even their parents. Wonderful. So we need to come up with solutions. We need to be the first ones. If others are not doing, let them not do. But let me do it. And why will you do it? When you are focused. When you focus on something and decide to do something about it, to take the things ahead. So whatever we are learning here, it is building your focus. If you are taking initiative, you are taking initiative because you're focused on something. If you are being proactive, you are proactive because you are focusing on something, to improve something, to overcome a problem. You're focused on it. Okay. Now, let us see, when we talk of focus, where do you focus your attention? We need to see. So, we all have issues around us about which we are concerned. This concept of circle of concern was given by Stephen Covey. So we are concerned about so many things happening around us. We are concerned about the environmental issues. We are concerned about the melting of glaciers. We are concerned about the political situations in different countries. We are concerned about what is happening in our neighborhood. We are concerned about what is happening within our family. What is my children doing? What is my spouse doing? Right. So if I am a teacher, what are my students doing? Are they studying or not? My colleagues. So many things that we are concerned about. So that comes within the circle of concern. There are so many times when you would sit with your colleague discussing what is American president doing about various problems of the world. What is the business houses? What are business houses doing in Europe? What is European Union doing about the economic conditions in various European countries? We discuss so many issues. So that comes within the circle of concern. And then outside that, it is no concern. You are not concerned. Now, when we talk of circle of concern, now, can you in any way affect the behavior of US president? You might like what is he doing, you might not be liking what is he doing, but can you change his behavior? Can you change the political conditions in other countries? Can you really change the economic policies of European Union? Can you really change it? Or come to a lower level, can you change what is happening in other states? Forget that. Can you change what is happening in your city? You say, okay, these people are not concerned about cleanliness, and you crib all the time. People are not following traffic rules. And when you're driving, you can feel that, that rage can be seen in many people as they drive on the crowded roads of the city. But you can definitely change, influence what your children are doing. You can definitely influence what your students are doing. So there are so many things which are in your circle of concern, but about which you can do nothing, almost nothing. But things that are in your circle of influence, you can directly affect those things. So the idea is you have to focus on your circle of influence, not the circle of concern. If you are always thinking about circle of concern, you will always be frustrated. So why not focus on circle of influence, where you can actually bring about a change? So where do you have your focus? In the circle of concern or in the circle of influence? So put your focus on things in your circle of influence. And these are the people who have a positive attitude. And with their positive attitude, they are able to enlarge their circle of influence. You do what is in your control. You make a beginning. You take the initiative and take that first step. And gradually you will see that your circle of influence is enlarging. Every big journey begins with a single step. So if you're concerned about the cleanliness in your city, why not start with your own children, your own students, your own colleagues? Influence them first. And after that, you can take this movement to a larger level. Involve your neighborhood, then involve your community, then involve your, the larger circle in the city. And gradually, this is how every movement begins. So the person who is at the center of that movement, that person first focused on the circle of influence, and automatically the circle of influence enlarged. So there is one more perspective. You cannot change the people around you. but you can choose the people, but you choose to be around. It's all about changing the things. If you don't like someone, you don't like the company of someone, don't just keep complaining. You can always choose with whom you want to be and stay with them. The thing is, stop cribbing, stop complaining, because you can entirely control your behavior. You have free will, you have independent choices, you can make the choices and make your life happier. So when we were talking of circle of concern, people who have the focus there, they are concerned about problems over which they have no control. Can I really change the, the melting of glaciers at my individual level? No, I cannot immediately influence it. But if I start working on it, if I start focusing on it, I can gradually, as I said, through my circle of influence, I can maybe influence that too. And then when we say prices are rising, so rather than complaining, you cannot control it. Start thinking about making adjustments in your expenses, which you can easily do. Focus makes all the difference. Where do you focus? Circle of concern or circle of influence? So, people who have proactive focus, their circle of influence enlarges, and people who have reactive focus, their circle of influence becomes smaller and smaller. And they would just keep crying about things that are affecting them, and they are not able to control those things. Ability to keep commitments and promises increases your circle of influence. Now, let us talk about the types of problems. The problems that we face could be involving our own behavior. It could be involving other people's behavior, or it could be involving past and situational realities. So if you talk of this problem that involves our own behavior, we can control it directly. We can work on our habits, our attitudes, and handle the problem. Circle of influence. If the problem is involving other people's behavior, direct control is not possible. Indirect control is possible. And such problems can be handled by changing the methods of influence. Let's forget about our colleagues and other people with whom we interact. Parents, when they are interacting with their children, when parents want to change the behaviors of their own children, they have to think how to speak to them so that they get influenced. Just by scolding, things don't work. So they have to think of proper ways of influencing the behavior of their own children. So you can just easily think that when it comes to colleagues and other people with whom we interact every day, who are adults, grown-up people, we have to think of methods. We have to change our methods to influence their behavior. But problems can definitely be handled. But when the problem is involving something that happened in past or the situational realities, control is not possible. And such problems can be handled only by changing the way we see the things, changing our attitude. So focus has to be shifted from if only I had to I will be. So when you say if only I had, you are holding someone else responsible for it. If only I had that degree. If only I had an understanding spouse. If only I had a supporting boss. You are holding these people and things possible for your current situation. So these need to be shifted to I will be more hardworking. I will stop procrastinating. So when the focus is shifted from outside to inside, control is easier. And then you are able to change the situation. Focus. Where are you focusing? So now we come to some practical aspect of it. Select a problem that is currently bothering you. Then determine whether it is a direct control problem, indirect control problem, or no control problem, as we just discussed. And on the basis of that, identify the first step that you can take to solve it. So you can do it for your own practice later on, but try doing it and just see if it helps you solve the problem. And one more thing, for 1 week, focus on your language and just observe how often do you say, if only this had happened, if only, or how often do you say, because of him, because of her, because of it, I could not do it. Just observe your language for just 1 week and you will understand your focus. Whether your focus is in the circle of influence or outside it. Next practice is to develop a personal vision. This is also related to self-awareness. What is your ultimate objective in life? What do you want to achieve? Towards what end are you moving? Each day we are doing so many things. But are we focused towards our destination? Do we know where are we heading to? So identify that end towards which you are moving, which you have made your destination. And let that end be in your mind as you work every day. That will always keep you focused. And divide your entire journey to small destinations, smaller destinations, and celebrate each milestone. Doesn't it happen when we are on a long journey, say 12-hour journey? So when every major station comes, so if you're traveling by train, when every big station comes, okay, so we have reached here. Wow, wonderful. Now this much time is left. Then next big station. Okay, so now we have reached here. What are you doing? You are celebrating every milestone, every smaller destination. And that makes the entire journey possible, manageable. And be your own leader while moving towards your goals and objectives. Don't wait for an outside person to lead you. Be your own leader. You know the best. So develop your personal mission statement. it helps. And this personal mission would focus on what you want to be in terms of character. And what do you want to do in terms of your contributions and achievements? And it will also focus on the values and principles upon which your being and doing are based. Your own value system has to be in consonance with what you are doing. When there is dissonance between what you are doing and your values, then that results into disenchantment with what you are doing. And very often that's the reason why people quit jobs. So develop your own personal mission. And for each person, the mission would be unique. You are unique, so your mission statement would also be unique. And once we understand our mission, our purpose in life, we are able to get through those difficult circumstances with comparatively easier way. So missions could be like, it could include statements like, I'll be more patient with my subordinates. I'll keep a sense of humor. I'll keep my workspace organized. I'll be an orderly person in person and in work. So you could be having your own missions and include the statements that are taking you towards your destination. One very important thing is that you have to strongly believe in your dreams and vision to make them a reality. And let that vision always be in front of you as you involve yourself in your day-to-day activities. You are focused on your vision. And this will help you evaluate your every small activity. Was it worth doing? Whatever I'm doing, should I be doing it? Is it helping me realize my vision? So you'll be able to evaluate. And if the activity is helping you reach your destination, you continue with it. If not, then you need a change in what you are doing or how you are doing. So your mission statement helps you maintain your focus. Next important way to maintain your focus is to learn to visualize. We'll see what does it mean. You know, everything is created first in mind before it takes a form. The biggest of the buildings, they were first imagined by somebody that this would be the shape of the building. This would how the building would look like. And they took it on a paper, and then the things began, and then you get those monumental work you can see in front of yourself. Burj Khalifa and Statue of Unity. Statue of Unity, it did not appear by itself. It must have been in the mind of somebody. So everything, even whatever you are doing, whatever you do, everything is first created in mind before it actually takes a physical form. Research on peak performers has shown that they are visualizers. They visualize what they want to achieve. They feel it, they experience it, even before they actually do it. So when we see these days, some time back we had the Olympic Games, and now Paralympic is going on, and we have all those achievers getting medals for the country, gold medal, silver medal. You know, these people had already held that gold medal in their hands even before that event took place. And it was in their visualization. They always had that visual image of theirs holding that medal in their hand. And ultimately, they made it a reality. And this is what research has shown, that all the peak performers in any field, they are visualizers. So those who scaled Mount Everest, they had already done so in their imagination much before they had actually scaled the peak. Day and night, they must have been thinking about it, dreaming that they had scaled the peak. So everything is first visualized, and the more conviction with which you believe in your visualization, the more are the chances that your visualization will become a reality. Your imagination will become a reality. So these people, when they visualized, it was not just once, but several times. Every waking hour of the day, they had it in mind. And what was that? That was simply their focus. They were focused on what they wanted to achieve. They had that mental image of what they wanted to achieve. And they had that image in their mind all the time until they made it a reality. And as you visualize your objective, there should not be any doubts in the mind about achieving your objective. No ifs or buts. I can, I will. End of story. No doubts. What if this happens? What if that happens? If my opponent is stronger? No, nothing doing. I know I have to do it and I will do it. No ifs and buts, no doubts. So Nelson Mandela, who himself achieved something that was impossible, the freedom, said, "A winner is a dreamer who never gives up." Dreamer, imagining, visualizing, and he never gives up until he makes that dream a reality. So if you think you can, you will. That is focus. Focus on the target. So now what you have to do here is you identify a project that you might be required to take up or you want to take up in near future. Create, write down the results that you desire to achieve. And also write down what steps would you follow to get those results. Whatever you want to take up in future, that you dream, that you aspire to achieve, you create it mentally. Like those sports persons, the winners, they had that gold medal in their hand, in their imagination. You too should have that project accomplished in your imagination. Next is prioritize. So it's only about prioritizing what you want to do. There are so many things that we do each day. The thing is, we need to prioritize. You have to identify important activities and you have to prioritize them every day, every moment. What is more important at this point of time? So maybe activity A takes precedence at this moment, but maybe next week it is not a priority activity. It takes a backseat. So day by day, moment by moment, you have to prioritize and focus on what is priority at that point of time. Discipline is the key. And one of the participants already mentioned that through discipline, she is able to get effectiveness. So how do we prioritize? Discipline is required to prioritize. So discipline is just choosing between what you want now and what you want most. There are so many temptations around that we want, but what do you want most? So it's like a student preparing for a competitive exam. Friends say, let's go and watch a movie. That is what he wants now. But what he wants most? He wants most to crack the exam. And so discipline is, no, I'll sit back and study. Maybe after I'm done with my studies, after I have achieved my objective, then I'll do what I like. That is discipline. So manage time, organize your priorities. So these are various methods. I saw that there is one session on time management. Just that notes and checklists, calendars and appointment books, prioritization of activities. All these things help you get focused on what is important for you. Randy Pausch he said, the question to keep asking is, are you spending your time on the right things? Because he understood the importance of time. Suddenly, all of a sudden, he had no time in life. We feel we have endless time. But then he realized when he came to know that he would be there at the most for 2 years. He said, it's the time all you have. So are you spending your time on the right things? Just think. So put first things first. Decide what has to come first. Prioritize and put them first before anything. And different people would have different priorities. So there are certain things that are important and urgent. They are pressing problems. Important and not urgent. Not important but urgent. And not important and not urgent. So the combination of 4 would give you 4 types of situations as mentioned here. And you have to manage them. Put first things first. Always remember. So you can build focus by identifying the activities that first deserve your attention. Other things would come later. And the last thing that I would talk about is focusing on self-renewal, which is very, very important. A short story goes like, there was a man who saw a person cutting the wood with a saw since long. So he said, why don't you sharpen your saw? You will be able to do it quickly. So the carpenter says, I don't have time, you see. I don't have the time to sharpen my saw because there is so much work to be done. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? He says, the tool with which is he working? If he has not sharpened that tool, how will he get the good results in good time? But he is ignorant of that fact. He feels that time spent in sharpening the saw will waste his time. And this is exactly what we do with ourselves. We keep on taxing ourselves. If we are to build our focus, if we are to achieve so many things, we need to focus on self-renewal. So it is essential to build your capacity to work, to get the best results. So there are 4 dimensions of self-renewal: physical, social, spiritual, and mental. Physical renewal means renewing your body. So it is achieved through exercise, nutrition, stress management. I've seen many people, and as you must also be knowing many people who keep postponing their exercises. Okay, I'll start from tomorrow. I don't have time. Right now, I'm very busy sharpening the saw. I don't have the time to sharpen the saw. There is so much work. I'll start yoga from tomorrow. I'll start going to gym from tomorrow. I'll start with healthy diet from tomorrow. Today I'm very busy. And that tomorrow never comes. So how do you rate this physical renewal? This is the question that I'm asking you. Is it urgent and important? Is it important but not urgent? Or is it neither urgent nor important? Tell me. What is your response? How do you rate this? And give me the honest answer, please. Yes? Am I audible?
Ma'am, participants are responding on chat box. Can you see chat box?
In chat box. Actually, this screen is there in front of me. So if you could speak up, please. I have this full screen PPT in front of me.
Okay, so participants, please speak.
It's urgent and important.
Okay. Is there anyone who feels it's important but not urgent? So if it's urgent and important, then you must definitely be doing something about it, I'm sure. And if you are not doing anything about your physical renewal, that means you consider it important, but not urgent. And I don't think anyone would be going for the third option. So the point here is physical renewal is important. It is like sharpening your saw to get maximum productivity in your work. So if you will be able to work hard only if your mind and body is healthy. Then spiritual renewal, it focuses on your value system. You learn through meditation. And it will give you energy for the entire day. There are many people who meditate in the morning and it keeps them going. It keeps them positive. So you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to keep your cup full to give it, to share with others, to give something to others. Then your mental renewal. So indulge in activities, maybe on weekends, maybe whenever you can steal some time from your busy schedule, reading, visualizing things, planning, writing, Such activities will give you mental renewal, or indulging in your hobbies. And then social renewal, getting connected with people, serving people, empathizing with others, building synergy, building your intrinsic security by connecting with others. That is social renewal. And so I come to the end of this presentation.